Slimehouse TV, myself, Theo Cane, and in this video I just want to have a catch up with everyone. It's going to be very unscripted, not like my usual toy review documentary stuff, anything like that. It's literally just a sit down and a bit of a catch up, a bit of a recap on everything that I've been doing and why Slimehouse videos have been so sparse over the last few months. Sparse, to put it lightly, because there's been literally nothing uploaded other than the toy art video that I put up a couple of weeks ago and an interview with Justin Wong from Mighty Ducks. I haven't put up any videos for a long time, so I'm going to go through all the reasons why and why that if you care, you shouldn't be worried, because there's lots of cool stuff coming out. If you've got a keen eye and you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that the most recent videos, the toy room looks different. I'd give this whole room a complete revamp. I plan on doing a whole room tour because people always ask me for room tour videos, but that took a good couple of weeks of getting everything out, stripping all the walls with myself and my friend Judd and his little kid Billy, just blasting all the walls and then doing it all on my own after. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you got to get this many toys out, take all these cabinets out, strip all the walls because it looked like somebody's nan's spare bedroom with this horrible printed wallpaper that's all over my house, or was all over my house when I first moved in. It's a nightmare to get off. You have to treat all the walls and then lining paper them and stuff like that. And I've still not completely finished it. There's some other little bits I want to do, what I want to do, and I want to tinker in this room. But I wanted it to look good when I'm doing these YouTube videos. And if I do say so myself, it looks way better now. So I'm going to do a whole room tour at some point. I don't know when, but I will get round to doing a room tour video because that should be pretty easy to film. Even though I like to spend a long time editing most of these videos, putting little crazy wipes and effects and titles on and stuff, and just making them a little bit more flashy than your average toy YouTube video. So speaking of toy videos on the channel, I know that they've also been very sparse, again sparse to put it lightly, and I've done a lot more like Warhammer and craft videos and things like that for no particular reason. Sometimes I just like to take a bit of a break and switch it up. It doesn't mean that they've stopped. The thing is, with those videos, they take like 2 weeks to make. Something like the Manta Force Memories video, for example, that was a whole 2 weeks of filming, getting those shots, those cinematic shots, and then writing the narration and recording the narration. Takes me a long time. It's not a quick thing. They almost take me as long to make them as it does to make a short film. The only difference is I'm not out on location having to wrangle cast and crew and effects that way, but they still take a very long time to put together, even if it's just me in my house filming them. That being said though, I do have some really cool ones in mind, and over the last few months I've completed a couple of lines that I wanted to do videos on, but I've always held back because I wanted to get a few more bits and accessories. So I don't mind if I don't have every single figure for a video, but I at least want to have the majority of them and the majority of the weapons and things like that. So I have got some really cool videos in mind. Don't want to go into what those videos are, but hopefully you'll like them when I get around to creating them and dropping them. I need the downtime. I don't get downtime. I created most of those videos during lockdowns and things like that when I wasn't allowed to leave my home. So that's when I create that kind of content. But at the minute I've just been all over the place, and I want to just go into a few of the reasons why I haven't been able to make YouTube videos as often over the past few months. So the first big thing, which was one of the reasons why I haven't been able to do as many YouTube videos, is that my movie got released in shops. It got released in shops all over the country. So Tesco, HMV, Asda, Morrison's, and then Amazon Prime, and then all the online streamers. Before that, my video was just independently released on Amazon Video, my film Unit 11, which we'd spent 10 years making. If you followed the story of Unit 11, there's videos on here called The Debrief where we go into all the creation of that movie. It almost killed me. It's 10 years of my life I dedicated to making this crazy action movie, and that's now released not only in shops in England, but then a couple of weeks ago it also got released in North America in Walmart and Barnes & Noble. So if you're an American viewer and you want to go and check out my video in stores, my film, my DVD, Unit 11, then head over to Walmart, check out the shelf of either new releases or action movies, and you should see it there. You can pick up a copy for yourself. And if we ever meet in person, I'm happy to sign it. I've signed quite a few people's DVDs recently, and that's been really awesome. HMV in Gateshead, they've actually got some actual signed copies of Unit 11 in the store. But yeah, that's a crazy thing that happened. That was a movie that I made completely independently with all of my friends. None of us was actors. Very few of us had done a bit of acting before, and yeah, we just spent 10 years creating this crazy movie, and never did I think in my entire life that it would be released on DVD. Not only in England, in shops like HMV and in Walmart and stuff like that. Oh man, it was just crazy mind-blowing that even happened, and it was months of negotiating contracts and stuff like that, because in my contract I said that I didn't want to change the name, I didn't want to make a single edit, I didn't want to change the cover, because we had this awesome cover painted by Greg Staples that I didn't want to change. And nowadays most most people that back movies or put them out and distribute them and stuff like that, they want to change the cover to a more like contemporary Photoshop job, and I really didn't want that. So this is one of the first times that I've actually spoken about the release, so we could go into this for a whole video, which I don't want to do, but it was a crazy thing to happen. Never did I imagine that it would ever happen, so the fact it's now out in shops is an absolute miracle. So if you want to support that, it's not really in Asda's and Tesco's and Morrison's and stuff anymore, because they only hold new releases and then like actual like proper classics like Rocky and The Good, the Bad and the Ugly and stuff like that, or real big releases like the Justice League and Avengers and things. So you can't get it in all those supermarkets still. You can get it in a lot of the supermarkets, but if you want to get yourself a copy, either head over to HMV online or go to one of the HMV stores, or Amazon, they also deliver it to your house as well. So another one of the huge things that I announced a few weeks ago is that I've actually been working down in London on a brand new movie that's directed by Jed Shepherd. Jed Shepherd is one of the writers of Host, which was a movie that came out last year that went completely viral about a bunch of girls that do a seance over a Zoom call and it all fucks up and goes wrong. And that guy who wrote that, Jed Shepherd, we had him on here on the podcast during lockdown, so he's a guy that I've connected with for many reasons over the years, mainly due to VHS collecting, because he's a big VHS collector like me, but he's now creating a movie slash PlayStation game. So it's a movie that you play it on your PlayStation. It's a live action interactive video game like the ones that came out for the Sega Saturn back in the day, but way better. And I started off as the first AD on that project, so I went down and worked as the first AD, and now I've been given an even more cooler role that I'm not going to announce yet, but when we go back to Film Block 2, I'm really excited to get stuck into that project even more, because it's absolutely awesome, and it was an absolute honor to be asked to go and work on this like huge budget PlayStation game, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, all that stuff slash movie with a big crew and dope actresses, and everyone in it that's involved in it is so awesome, and I'm just so lucky to be a part of that. So that's something else that I've been doing on the side that I haven't really talked too much about, but that's like completely mind-blowing that I'm involved with it, and I'm so happy. You can probably gauge how excited I am about that project.
Killer. Slimehouse TV.
Another really cool thing I did is I went on the Keller podcast. So Keller is, if you're into street culture and you've followed beatboxing and rap and hip-hop or battle rap or anything like that for many years, you have probably heard of Keller. This guy is like a staple in the hip-hop community, in the UK hip-hop community, and he's one of the best beatboxers in the entire world. Like, he's renowned as one of the top guys in beatboxing, and he now has a podcast. So I went on that a few weeks ago. He came to my house, he filmed my whole house. I think he's even making like a mini documentary about it. I don't want to say too much because that's all in his hands, but he had a real good time doing that, and that was a podcast that I've watched for a long time. So when I got asked to be on it, it was like so cool, and yeah, I don't know when that's dropping, but that'll be awesome as well. That goes into lots of the stuff to do with the Unit 11 DVD release as well on there. What else we got? I had to write all this stuff down because I forget about it. Okay, so more locally, more in-house stuff. I actually acquired a 3D printer recently. I never tried 3D printing before. Obviously, I work with Nema Studios a lot. I'm going to get into that again after this. And they get all the stuff that I designed sculpted and 3D printed, but it's not something that I've ever actually had a go at myself. So a couple of weeks ago, a month and a half ago, something like that, I got myself a whole 3D printing setup and started learning to 3D sculpt. This is another video that I've completely recorded, my whole journey of creating my first ever toy with a 3D printer, so I don't want to go into that too much, but that's something that I've never done before, but it's a skill that I really felt like I needed to learn it. It's something that I needed to learn in order to progress in the stuff that I do. There's something that if I didn't learn it now, I'm only going to learn it later, and it's something that I'll always use. And already I've been using the technology of 3D printing for my artwork. I recently, completely off topic, as a commission, I recently restored an old Kenner ATST walker for a friend, like as a favour for a favour kind of thing, and I made it look like it was all apocalyptic and graffitied up. Like I said, completely off topic, this is just one of my like random jobs that I had to do for someone, but I 3D printed a load of tiny little Krylon cans for it, so I've not explored the technology like too much recently, and I had lots of mess ups trying to get stuff to actually print. I had to get a new printing bed plate from Elegoo and all this stuff, but they were really good at sending it. But this is a whole other video that I'm going to get into at another time. Just wanted to let you know that Slimehouse now 3D prints and sculpts and makes its own toys, and that's a technology that I can't wait to get into later on down the line and see what more I can create. In regards to Nima Studios, they've expanded into like a whole new thing now, and they have different artists that they work with and things like that. I don't do all of their stuff, and when it comes to like painting the models, printing them, all that stuff, that's all them. I just pretty much now design some schematics for them, and I also paint a lot of the backing covers, and they've got some real cool stuff coming out that's just been announced, and I had a lot of involvement in some of that stuff. So go over to Nima Studios, check out their things, and anything that I'm involved with, they've usually tagged me and credited me and stuff like that, so you can see the ones that I'm involved with. The Cosmic Cowboys in particular, I spent a lot of time painting those backing covers, and I'm really happy with how a lot of those came out. I am also a full-time illustrator. People often don't know this about me because I do so much stuff, but my main hustle is drawing. I'm an illustrator, and I do that pretty much all the time. So that's something that also takes up a lot of my time away from doing YouTube videos. If I've got deadlines and big stuff to draw, I spend a long time drawing stuff. I'm not one of these guys that can just bang stuff out in 10 minutes. Like, it takes me a long time to get things that and even then I'm never really happy with it because artists are so self-critical. But yeah, that's something that I do so much. I'm always drawing, so that takes a lot of my time up. One of the other massive things that's been taking up a ton of my time is that I'm working on my second movie at the minute, Wendy and the Wendigo. Been making this pretty low key. I don't post a lot about it. When I was working on Unit 11, I was constantly putting up pictures and images and things like that, and I wanted to have a slightly different approach this time around. So you'll notice that I haven't really posted too much about Wendy and the Wendigo. In fact, I'm going to put a clip in right now, just a very, very small clip, and that's the first ever clip that I've ever released from this movie. So I can't wait to get that out as well. That's just something that's a whole other thing that I'm doing, and trying to make a movie like myself independently. And if you've not watched the debrief, you'll not know, but I not only write and direct, I also shoot it, I edit it, I do all the costumes, all the special effects, all the lighting, I coordinate everything, even coordinate how everybody's getting there, sorting out lifts and getting the catering and everything. I do everything. I have a very dedicated small crew that follow me into hell when it comes to doing this stuff, but it's all very much me that coordinates all this chaos. It's very, very stressful, and it's the hardest thing that I do out of all the different creative endeavors I do. Creating movies is the hardest thing ever, so that's taken up the majority of my time away from YouTube, and that's why I've not been doing as much. But that movie is also now like 2 days away from filming, and on a normal movie you would film it in blocks. Like this PlayStation game down in London, for example, they have like 5 days, boom, straight on it, that's one block. Whereas, and even that's like really quick to get a movie done, whereas I do a day here, a day there, then it might be 3-4 weeks before we get everyone together to do another day, because I don't have any budget to pay anyone, so it's all done on good faith and things like that. So that's why it takes such a long time. So I've got 2, maybe 3 more days of filming on that, but they're going to be like sporadically filmed, but they're much easier than the stuff that we've had to pull off so far. And then I've got to get all the soundtrack sorted, which I'm doing with my friend Ben. He's doing an awesome soundtrack for it, Ben Warren. And then I've also got to like sort out all the sound mix and the ADR and all that stuff. It's a whole other thing. You can finish a movie and it can still take another year before it's ready to be released, just because of how much all that kind of stuff takes to coordinate. But that is the main thing that's been taking up all of my time. So those things there are just little boom bullet points over the last few months that I've been working on that have taken up all my time away from doing YouTube. So whenever I don't put videos out, it's not because I've stopped doing them, it's not because I've got bored, and it's certainly not because I'm slacking. It's literally just because I haven't had the time to sit and create these videos. There's also one other thing that I've just remembered. Well, it's not that I've just remembered. I didn't even really want to talk about it on here because it's such a huge thing, and I'm not even allowed to talk about it. But basically it involves toys, and if you watched my story recently, you'll see that I was in some crazy place, almost like an old archive, almost like something. When you're a toy collector, you have them dreams sometimes where you like walk into a warehouse and it's just full of old toys, and you're like, whoa, this is where all the old toys have been hiding. Well, I went to a real place like that, and it's something to do with filming, but that's all I'm saying. I can't say anything else, but it's been huge, and it's been so cool to be a part of, and I'm so excited to do some more on it. So that's all I can say now. Even if I wanted to, I'm not allowed. I'm contractually obliged to not say anything. I've signed NDAs and stuff like that, so we can't say nothing, but that's also going to be awesome. So that's all the stuff that I've been doing recently. I've been sent a lot of cool things as well. People have sent me toys and things that they've made and stuff, and I've planned on doing videos covering them and stuff like that, but just not had the time yet. So if you have sent me something and you're wondering where the video is, it is coming. I am going to do it. I just want to give it the time that it deserves. I don't want to just rush something out, but it will come out. And hopefully by the time this is out, I have already dropped a new Warhammer video, which is one that I filmed ages ago and just never edited and put together. So yeah, is that enough for you for now? Stick with me, there's loads coming out, and you can also follow me on Instagram. I post on there all the time and try and keep people updated on all the stuff that I'm doing over on Instagram at Theo_Cane_Slimehouse. I'm Theo Cane. Make sure you've subscribed to this channel if you haven't already. There's loads of old content that you can go back and binge, and loads coming out. You've just got to give me the time to create it. But thanks so much for everybody that does support me. I'm also on Patreon, so if you want to head over to patreon.com/SlimeHouseTV, you can help me over there. I'm not one of these Patreon people that put out stuff all the time as Patreon exclusives because I don't have the time to do it. I planned on doing that when I first set the Patreon up, but it's just not being realistic. So I understand if you don't want to drop me 20 quid a month, but if you want to drop me $1 a month just to help this thing tick over and put a bit more funds back into this, because the majority of it I fund all myself, it would be really helpful. So again, thank you for checking this video. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm Theo Cane, and I'm going to catch you in the next episode of Slimehouse TV. Until then, I'm gone. Pow!